What is up, Packers fans? Welcome back to the Daily Draft. I'm your host and the publisher of Pack Report, Ross Uglem, and today we are breaking down the other UDFA that I believe is going to make the team. I shouldn't say that because I don't know what order Andy is releasing these in. So Andy does all his deep dives, does an awesome job. So I don't do that. We're gonna try and talk to some of the 24/7 sports folks, like we did last year. We talked to um, guy from the USC side about Marshawn Lloyd, talked to Jason Shear about Jordan Morgan from Arizona, did a good one with Matty Hudak about Michael Pratt. We've done a decent job of lining up folks from our network to talk about the players, but it's a different take than what Andy does. So I'm going to do a normal prospect primer like you would have seen the daily draft all year on the two UDFAs that I had a draftable grade on, just so I can kind of try and familiarize you guys with them a little bit more and understand why I think they have a chance to make a team, why I had a draftable grade, and why I think a lot of folks were excited about them when they were taken. This is Kentucky/Georgia off-ball linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Pros, really, really good athlete. He is a 90th percentile. So I think it was actually an 8.99, but he's right there. A Raz guy. He's just small. Like if he were a normal sized linebacker or a historically normal sized linebacker, his Raz would have been well over 3. I think he's like 6 foot tall, flat, and 222 or something like that. Let me give you some exact height weight stuff because that is relevant when we're having this conversation. One second, trying to get let's see. So 6 foot, 246. I don't know the 4-digit code on his weight. Must have been lighter at the combine. The combine, he was 238. So thick, certainly, just not tall. 32-inch arms, not particularly long arms. He's just not your, 6'3", long armed, 245-pound linebacker. But that guy barely even exists anymore. Faster than all get out. Runs, man. He is really, really impressive as an athlete, and I think that was a noticeable thing on his Georgia tape, a noticeable thing on his Kentucky tape, and that's one thing I'm going to put in the pros here is he had really, really good tape at Georgia. I don't know whether it was playing time, whether it was money. I don't know. I don't know why he transferred from Georgia. I don't think I care. I don't think teams care anymore just because it's so commonplace for these guys to hit the portal. But I noticed that he's a high-level communicator. I think he could be a green dot guy at the next level if called upon. Here's an interesting thing, especially for a linebacker of his size, he occasionally actually takes on and sheds blocks, which you almost never see anymore, especially from a guy his size. Even like in Edgerrin Cooper, so many linebackers today are trying to beat blockers to the spot or go around blockers. I think because linebackers have had so much more asked of them in coverage and just athleticism has been so impressed upon them defending the spread offense in college and then coming to the pros and having to deal with those athletes. And it's like athlete. The stack a block and shed it from a linebacker is a lost art, and he actually shows the ability to do that. Decent zone eyes, and he just generally, I'll marry that decent zone eyes thing to he is just an instinctual linebacker, and you notice like even with Quay Walker's struggles, your instincts and just your football knowledge, or not even knowledge, but just like this is where I need to go because this is where the play is going. Like that's half the battle. If Quay had instincts, he'd already be a multiple time Pro Bowler. It's starting to click for him, or certainly started to click last year, and that's why I think you saw the best football of Quay's career from week 8 and on last year. Now you're looking at a guy in Jamon Dumas-Johnson who's not Quay's size, doesn't have his gifts, but already kind of has that instinctual side already. Cons, not particularly good in man coverage. I think part of that has to do with I don't think he's got great change of direction. I think he's linear, which you don't always love for a linebacker. I think he can run and chase. I think he's fast. I think he's explosive downhill. I don't think if he would have, so we don't have these information. I think his Raz stuff comes from his pro day. I don't know if he even worked out at all in Indianapolis, but I don't think would have done a great job in the short shuttle, and I don't think he would have done a great job in a 3-cone. And look, that he's a UDFA. The UDFA's 7th-round picks, 6th-round picks, they have holes in their prospect. They have holes in their prospect profiles, or they wouldn't be 6th, 7th, and UDFAs. So I don't think he's got elite change of direction. And that is also kind of married to he doesn't tackle well in space. Jamon Dumas-Johnson is not a player that you want, okay, it's him versus Christian. Now, you don't want anybody in that position, but him versus Jahmyr Gibbs in the hole, especially if it's in the alley, like if it's an outside zone play, that's not great. If you have Christian McCaffrey in the alley, that's not great. And that's not great for a lot of guys, but Dumas-Johnson is just not a great tackler in space, which I think also worth noting. If he's going to make the team, I wish he was a better tackler in space, because I think he's going to have, I know he's going to have to play special teams. So that's worth noting. This is one thing I know: is his pursuit angles are not always sensible. He not only underruns, meaning like he takes too aggressive of a angle of pursuit, and a fast player beats him to the corner, which is a big problem. And then he also occasionally goes like too conservative and makes a tackle 12 yards down the field when it could have been 8, because again, like I talk about him as an instinctual player, but pursuit angles, I don't know if he doesn't understand his own speed or doesn't understand the speed of the player he's chasing or what, but I thought that was worth noting. Packers fit, it's interesting. I will say that, as much as I like him as a player. Oh, one last thing, Con. Georgia tape is better than Kentucky tape, which doesn't make all that sense unless you're just willing to say Georgia is a much better coached defensive football team, which I will say, hell yes, that's correct. So did not improve from, into his last year. He'd be a very Packers-y pick, which he wasn't a pick signing, but like his best tape was 2023, not 2024. Packers fit. Interesting. They're really deep at linebacker. I don't know if they're good, but they're deep. They've got a top 100 pick. So your starters are McDuffie, Quay, and Edgerrin Cooper. They've said that they're going to extend Quay. The 5th-year option makes no sense for Quay financially, but the number is still going to be one that Packers fans are going to go, what? I think they're keeping Quay. Edgerrin Cooper is going to be a star for a long time. McDuffie's on a 1-year deal, but I think he's guaranteed to make the team. Like, I'll be absolutely blown away if they cut McDuffie. I think those are your 3 starters. Behind your 3 starters, you've got Welch, who they just signed. I think you can not be married very much to Christian Welch. But then they've got Isaiah Simmons, who they just signed, and I think you want to use him on special teams. And then they've got Tyron Hopper. Are they really going to cut Tyron Hopper for Jason Dumas-Johnson? Now, keep in mind, I have actually ranked Tyron Hopper higher than Dumas-Johnson, but the anger about that, or the frustration or the questioning of the Hopper pick, was he was picked in the 80s. This is an undrafted free agent. So I actually have a higher grade on Hopper than Dumas-Johnson, but I could see, especially from an athletic profile standpoint, if this primary role is special teams, which I don't see Hopper's path to playing on defense. So if the role is special teams, maybe you like Dumas-Johnson better just because of the raw speed and size combination. Worth keeping in mind that he played with Brinson, Stackhouse, and even Javon Bullard at Georgia. So there's some chemistry there. Guys that can kind of translate Georgia's language to the Packers language. Decent chance, instinctual football player. Like I said, he could pick up the defense really fast because he's got guys in front of him that know what they're doing. He's got, Bullard, who, if he's in the nickel, he'd be right there to communicate. And that's a little thing. That's not a major thing, but just familiarity. Guys he knows, guys that can translate Jeff Hafley defense to Kirby Smart defense and back the other way. Okay. And the big question is, how many linebackers are they actually going to keep? I think there's a chance to keep 5, because I think their 6th linebacker could be Colin Oliver. I think Colin Oliver could count for 2 positions, basically. He could be your, 6th edge and 6th off-ball guy. And that's what allows you to keep that many guys, right? That's what allows you to keep maybe like Sorrell and Cox. I don't know that for sure, but if Oliver kind of wears both hats, now you've got a really narrow path to the roster for Dumas-Johnson, especially if Bisaccia is pounding the table for Welch. I think Simmons is going to make the team. I can't figure that one out. I think Simmons is going to make the team, but I can't figure that one out for sure. I think that's a Bisaccia gift, but like if they do only if they keep 5 and Colin Oliver, how do you feel comfortable? Other than I guess McDuffie can probably take the green dot and play Mike if you needed to. How would you feel comfortable with your linebacker depth being Isaiah Simmons, Dumas-Johnson, and Colin Oliver, or even Isaiah Simmons, Tyron Hopper, and Colin Oliver? But that's, I guess, where they are. Overall, 225th player overall. I would roster him, but I don't know how they're going to do it. I gave him a high 6th round grade. I would try and find a way to keep this guy around. And he was a UDFA. Maybe the practice squad is how they get it done. Drink Badger State. Thank you for buying the draft guide, and go Pack Go.